It's been 2 years since I founded McGinty Coaching, and I started it because I really love helping people. And I'm at that point in my career where that became a priority for me. And so I love helping people achieve their dreams, their goals. I love helping organizations do the same. And all of that desire is backed by 26 years of experience in both corporate and entrepreneurial experiences. You can see some of the logos there, and I think I worked with a few of you at some of those places. So I did spend over a dozen years at Microsoft in various roles, chief of staff and marketing type functions primarily. Also at United Health Group and Optum for just about 7 years there. And I'm currently doing some contract work with Allianz, so I still get the opportunity to keep my toes dipped into that corporate pool. My executive leadership really stems from a variety of functions, primarily in the business operations or chief of staff type of roles, which is where how I know Lisa. We work together closely in those ways. And also that my background is in mostly technology, financial services, healthcare, and insurance. So that's kind of where I've spent the core of my career. Welcome, Carrie. Welcome to the call. Glad to have you. Awesome. All right, so that's just a little bit about me. Before we get into kind of the polling and the stories, I just wanted to level set and talk a little bit about what imposter syndrome is. So if you're at this call, you probably have heard of it and you may have experienced it, but it really is this persistent feeling of self-doubt, of really feeling like a fraud, like you're afraid you're going to be exposed as a fraud, despite all of the evidence that has stacked up for you around your capabilities and your competence. And unfortunately, it's very, very common. It affects professionals across a variety of fields. And I would say the vast majority of my clients, we spend time talking about imposter syndrome as a real inhibitor to their ability to be and feel successful. And unfortunately, it affects women at a disproportional rate than it does men. And so it's great to see so many women on here, as well as men, our allies out there who may also be experiencing imposter syndrome. But there's good news, okay? There's really good news here. It's not a flaw. It's a sign of growth, okay? So it shows up when you're stretching into new territory, but your identity is evolving faster than your inner narrative. So it's this kind of dissonance and this disconnect between you moving forward, but your brain saying, hold on, we're not ready for this quite yet. And as long as you become aware of it, you can be transformed and you can turn into humility, curiosity, courage, and actually help you really own your achievements and believe in yourself fully. So that's a little bit about what imposter syndrome is or feels like. This picture, this is vintage. This is I'm 20 something in this picture. And it was right after I had finished my MBA and I was ready to go out and tackle the world. So please enjoy the picture. It is grainy for a reason. It's probably taken on a Kodak. Anyway, in 2005, I moved to the Seattle area. I was based in the Midwest pretty much my entire life, but I moved to Seattle in 2005 to start my new role at Microsoft. I was so excited to be at Microsoft. It is a great company. I can still say that to this day. But after a couple of years, I was promoted to lead a really large strategic initiative and lead a team. And I had never done that before. It was the role I had dreamed of, I had worked toward and earned. On paper, I was perfect for it. I had the right experience. I had consistently glowing reviews and, even grades going back to grade school and high school, like total achiever. I had multiple promotions. This is another way that this shows up. Multiple promotions over a very short period of time. And I had this really strong reputation for being a great collaborative leader. I had it all, okay? But inside, I felt like a fraud. There were days where I would walk up to the building and not be able to open the door. I felt like I didn't deserve the position. I felt like I didn't belong at that leadership table, like I had no business being in that position. And every interaction and meeting that I went to, I braced myself physically, had braced myself for someone to ask, why was I in charge? And so what did I do? and maybe this resonates with you, I over-prepared, I second-guessed every decision, I avoided sharing all of my really big, bold ideas, which is what frankly got me in the position to begin with. And I had this inner voice that kept whispering, "You're just pretending to be confident. That's not the same thing as being qualified." That tape was running in my head consistently. And as you can imagine, and maybe have felt yourself, it was exhausting. I carried around all the self-doubt, this feeling of inauthenticity, the feeling of being a fraud and a phony, just waiting for someone to find me incompetent. And it really affected me. It affected all aspects of my life. As I said, there were days where I couldn't even open the door to go in because I was so stressed and anxious. It affected my physical and my mental health, my friendships, my relationship, and my overall joy for life. So the signs of imposter syndrome. So some of what both Lisa, Ben, and myself have all described is kind of on this screen. I'm not going to belabor this because I think you guys are getting the sense for what this is and have probably felt it. But this sense of over preparing and overworking so you're earning your place. It's also deflecting praise. I don't know if that's come up for any of us yet, but it can show up in ways where somebody tells us, "Hey, great job on that," and we're like, "Yeah, that was the team," or that was luck, or that was just timing, making excuses for the reason why that accolade was given when it was true, and just deflecting that. Avoiding visibility, not speaking up, perfectionism. I mean, any perfectionists out there? Yeah, that can show up as a little bit of imposter syndrome. I saw your head shake, Ben. Um, Comparison, is the thief of joy, right? You're always feeling behind even when you're ahead. So those are kind of what it looks like. Those feelings, that constant hum of self-doubt, anxiety before and after accomplishments. So isn't it so strange that even after you are achieving and accomplishing so much, you still feel anxious because it's the next thing that you're not going to be ready for. At least that's what you're saying in your head or feeling in your body. Guilt for being praised. So not only deflecting, but feeling guilty that someone's saying, "Great job." You feel lonely because maybe you assume that no one else is feeling the same way that you are. And really that exhaustion that comes through because being someone you're not is really, really tiring, right? Trying to pretending and showing up as someone you don't really feel like yourself, that can be really, really exhausting. I see your comment in there. Deflection be humility and giving credit. Yes, I think it can, and I do think it's a fine line, Lisa. I think there is a nice balance between accepting praise and gratitude and also extending it to the team. Being able to do both in balance, I think, is a sign of a really strong person and a great leader in many ways. Good. Thank you for that point and that question. And then what it sounds like, I don't know if anybody else has little voices in their head, it's just, "I don't know what I'm doing. They're going to find me out. I just got lucky. What am I doing here?" And I think, Ben, you mentioned like asking for help, viewing asking for help as being that sign of weakness and demonstrating that you're not qualified. It inhibits you from even more from growing and getting that help that you need, especially if you're trying something new. I do want to get to some tips because I think sometimes, and none of this is really rocket science that I'll be sharing here, but I think it's helpful if we can put into kind of words and maybe see on paper, what can we do about this? So I'm going to share a few of my favorite tips, and I would love to hear yours too. So again, if you'd like to go ahead and put those into the chat, please do so. And I'll go through these kind of quickly because some of you may be very familiar with these already. I've got 8 of them. So the first one is really acknowledge your feelings. So acknowledge you're feeling imposter syndrome type symptoms. You have to acknowledge its presence and be honest with yourself because that will make it feel okay. If you are in denial that that's what's happening, sometimes we can just push those feelings aside and they just build up and build up. But the more you acknowledge it, the less power those feelings will hold over you. So, and also notice when it's happening. Are there specific triggers? Are you in specific places with specific people, doing specific things? Is it only when you do something new? I think a couple of you said, like, this is just constant for me. And for others, it's, maybe when you're doing something new or you're just trying something a little bit different. And understanding those patterns, if you can reflect on those and really understand when those feelings creep in, who are you with? What are you doing? That way you can either prepare or maybe avoid those situations altogether. So that's my first tip. The second one is to reframe your thoughts. So as you're hearing these voices in your head, unless that's just me, reframe your thoughts. If you catch yourself thinking these negative things like, I don't belong here, or I'm not good enough, or I don't know why they chose me, you can turn that around if you recognize it and say to yourself, counter those thoughts with, I am the expert, and start to remind yourself of your achievements and qualifications and understand that you belong where you are, that you've earned that position. Number 3, you can keep a record. I don't know if you guys like to take notes or jot down positive affirmations, but keeping a record of your achievements can serve as a really tangible reminder. I will finish my story, but and not steal my own thunder, but I used to put a sign up on the side of my desk that no one else could see that would remind myself of what I have achieved. And when I would feel that doubt creeping in, I would look over at it and take it in and believe it. So whether it's a journal, a digital doc, any collection of emails, if you like to keep like a kudos file for yourself, but celebrating those victories, even the small ones, can sometimes just kind of snap you out of it and get you refocused on how amazing you are and the fact that you've earned your position. All right, number 4, embrace your unique journey. So everyone's career path is really unique and filled with different experiences, and this kind of combats this idea of competing with other people. You have to focus on your own individual journey and not compare yourself to others. I believe in the value of embracing your own unique journey so much that Ifat Rogers, who's on this call, and I have put together a podcast called Success Your Own Way. And the whole spirit behind Success Your Own Way is the notion that everyone has their own unique path, everyone has their own unique stories, everyone has their own unique definition of success, and acknowledging that that definition of success can really change and evolve over time. If you would love to listen to it, it's all of our episodes are posted at successyourownway.com. We've got, I think, 13 of them posted, and if you listen to all of them, you will hear some common threads, but you'll also see and hear from folks with very different backgrounds, kind of talking about their journeys and how their definitions have changed over time. So if you want some inspiration, I'll encourage you to check out the Success Your Own Way podcast. Number 5 is around goal setting. This is probably, a lot of you come from a corporate background. I think maybe all of you do. And so setting those SMART goals, those specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals can keep you very focused. You can break those larger goals and tasks down into smaller ones where the celebrations can be more frequent. And that can help you boost your confidence and give you that sense of accomplishment in order to snap you out of that imposter syndrome. Number 6 is practice self-compassion. So be nice to yourself, okay? So this is one of those things that I think sometimes we're often harder on ourselves than we are on other people. And so the tip here is to treat yourself as a friend and talk to yourself in a way that you would want a friend to talk to you, or that you talk to friends. And that will help you reduce that self-criticism and promote your healthier self-image. So treat yourself as someone you love. Treat yourself as a friend. Number 7 is really kind of what we're doing here. It's this opportunity to get some feedback and validation and really get that support network together. So you want to surround yourself with people who can really help you, who can alleviate your feelings of isolation and really build community. And that's part of what we're doing here today. And then the last one is you can get help from a coach. I think there's a couple of coaches on this call today, so probably at least 3, maybe 4 of us on the call. And that can provide you some valuable insights and help boost your confidence. Coaching is a really great way to have a third party help you by asking you great questions and listening intently for you and helping hold you accountable to the goals that you set for yourself. And they are a neutral third party. These aren't people who have a clear stake in your success or your promotion or whatever. They are really there just to listen and help guide. and give you the support you need in order to move forward.